and welcome to another episode of the Haleigh Daily Podcast on Frankie's Podcast Network. I'm Haleigh Overseth, your host, and I'm here with Derek Hobbs of GradSpecs. Hello, Derek. Thank you for joining me.
Hello. I love your intro music, by the way, and I like the "Have you been weird today?"
Have you been weird today? That's like the biggest question on my mind for everyone. Have you been weird? How weird? And please tell me as many details as you're legally allowed to.
I thought that was great. I mean, I'm weird every day, right? So,
everyday weird is that's the flavor that I'm looking for in this world. So I appreciate you coming on to just enjoy some neurospicy chat with me. I will start the proceedings by, I don't know what that picture is behind you, but it makes me think of a sandworm from Beetlejuice. It looks like it's got a wolf head, though.
It is. So that is the first piece of fine art that I have purchased, and that is
Really?
so that it is made by a very well-known artist out there named Carlos Sandoval in New Mexico. So I bought that in Taos, New Mexico, and Carlos Sandoval does a lot of work in Santa Fe, has a gallery out there. And this is what he called the Taos Wolf. And so it was a really weird, it was the one piece that sticks out in his collection, like what he typically paints and all that. So it's a really shiny acrylic wolf, and it's trippy. It definitely looks like he ingested some things and then started painting. It's really
And
cool.
you want to know what? Good for him if he did. However you get to that creative flow, I don't judge, right? Like, why not? I dig it. I love that. I do abstract art myself. I get into like the flow of just not thinking and follow the colors and the lines where they go. And sometimes like shapes come out or humanoid figures, and sometimes not so much. It's just, it is what it is. Do you do any art or creative things? I know you rock the GradSpecs stuff, and we're going to have you on the Venora Effect podcast, folks. If you want to know more about the business side of Derek, check out the Venora Effect podcast that he is going to join us on. But for this container, we are neurospicy. Derek, what's your neurospicy creativity?
So my creativity comes in two forms. Because I am neurospicy myself. So my particular flavor of ADHD allows me to kind of creatively problem solve. So my creativity comes more in enhancing an existing thing, like a product, or somebody throws like ideas up at me and I can just go, oh, it'd be cool if it could do X, Y, and Z. And
I love this. The yes and improv of the thing that already is.
yeah, so I'm good at that. I can add stuff to existing things pretty quickly, and then
Do you do like inventional type adding things?
I mean, I don't know how to describe it, but it's more like I'll come up with an idea if I see something like a product, one of the products that we're building. I came up with a cool extra feature that was immediately added into it. Like they immediately that's a great idea. Like we put that piece in. And the other way that my creativity, I guess, comes out is in sports. So soccer and tennis. Like I can, my info processing speed's really high, so I get creative in there. I do funny stuff with a soccer ball and a tennis ball, so I can.
Okay, so we're almost incorporating maybe like some dance into the soccer and the tennis like moves. Are we like making it really interesting next year?
More like deception and for instance, last week I had a hilarious goal with my team and my friends when I'm on an indoor soccer league. And
very cool, very fun.
Yeah,
you gotta keep that ADHD like occupied physically sometimes too, right?
Well, it helps me. That reduces the symptoms of like all the negative side effects of being spicy, because it's cyclical, right? So sometimes you like know when you're in it and you like snap out. All of a sudden you're like, oh my god, it's been a week and a half. I've done like absolutely nothing. Like what's wrong?
Right? Just like, what happened to my life for that? Where was I? What was I doing? How did I continue to adult through that time?
Yeah. And then, it's like, oh, I might get like 4 hours of work done at a very random part of the day. And then that'll happen for like a week and a half, and then I'll realize, oh my god, like I'm in that cycle, and then I'll get like 40 hours worth of work done in one day. So
Right?
yeah,
And it's just a weird thing. And it works. We still get all of the things done when they need to be done
yeah,
somehow. And it's an amazing thing that we're even able to do that.
it's
But
just
anyway,
yeah, it's
the
just an
goal that you
optimum
had,
amount of stress. Yeah. So I
the
got
optimum
surrounded.
amount of stress.
Yeah. So I got surrounded. I was like, I've approached the box. I've got a defender on my right, a defender on my left, and the goalie coming right at me. So they're just like closing in front of me, and I'm trying to score. I've got no support. I had taken the ball, so my team's way back there still. So I'm kind of like,
Bye, guys.
so I'm like 1v3, and I have nowhere to go. So I was like, all right. So I back up a little bit. I give it a pump fake, like I'm going to shoot it. All three of them freeze. And then I just flipped the ball, put my toe under it, and just like quickly just flipped it up in the air, right over the goalie and into the goal. Like just,
I love it. Just
just
the element of surprise. So you might have been really good at like, military strategy in some parallel life, right? Like you
uh,
could have been real.
oh yeah, I played a lot of real-time strategy games when I was growing up. Like when I was a kid, I played a ton of games that were like you have to quickly be building up an army or adapting to build counters against whoever you're playing against. And
I don't think I played those like army civilization strategic games, but like, and maybe I'll age myself here, I don't know. But like, do you remember like the old DOS games like Commander Keen or Duke Nukem or like,
yeah, I remember those. I played like StarCraft, and
I don't know if I know what StarCraft
yeah,
was.
that one was just, I played that when I was younger. My routine basically when I was a kid, because I was, I had a lot of energy, so it was like,
Where does
yeah,
that come from, right? All that
right.
neurospicy, like this brain's working a whole lot. I better start moving this body to go with it. Like, what can I look at? What can I touch? What
I
can we
just
make?
had to blow out the body so that I could sit down and do what I needed to do. So like
Oh,
I basically played like 3 hours of soccer every day for
wow.
a good
That's
like 14 years.
Well, that's interesting because, like, now you say that, I'm thinking of like when I was like younger and even middle school, high school, college, like, I would go walking sometimes, like 3 to 5 hours a day. Like, just go walking, have my music on, and just have to like let the music videos generate themselves and the movie idea, like all the things, and just walk while it happened because it's like there's so much happening up here, and we're just gonna have to let it roll and give it a soundtrack, and just that's what you got to do.
I liked it because it turned my brain off for a bit. Like it was, things coming quick. And so
Mhm.
if I have something else to focus on for an extended amount of time, like in tennis or soccer, where it's like I'm in here, I'm in this environment, if I can't be distracted by anything else, then
That's kind of what podcasting is for me. That's my
yeah,
sport.
nice.
That's where I have to focus. Now I just have to get a standing desk so I can make it more, active.
Oh
Maybe I can
yeah.
get one of those treadmill things. I can walk while I
I
podcast.
That's the next piece I need, because I have like this desk right here is uh it's got some hydraulic legs, so I can just hit a button and it'll raise up for me. I need to get the treadmill
Love
though.
it.
I feel good.
I mean,
Um,
we all just need to get outside more too, though, right? And get feral again, like we should be.
yeah, I'm pretty feral. I'm definitely a feral person. So
Is that it? That's a little bit of a neurospicy kind of thing too, to some degree, right? Like, were you that kid that was also like climbing trees, digging in dirt, catching
constantly.
frogs?
Well, yeah. So I grew up pretty like super poor, and
Good for you.
yeah,
Like,
it was
right?
challenging. Yeah. So grew up pretty poor, and um, we had our my parents' house was backed up to, like, there was this really big bed and breakfast, and then just woods, like a huge forest that had like a
Okay.
pond and creeks and all kinds of stuff back there.
So
And
you were in the right
so
spot.
I was like the leader of the neighborhood kid gang, basically. Like there's like 8 of us that I would organize what we were doing. So there'd be there's like 8 kids. I'd set up, we'd play soccer, we'd play basketball, flashlight, tag, or whatever it was going to be, building forts in the woods. We're going to go on an
Yes.
adventure. And
That was some of my favorite, building forts in the woods. Okay, but tell me though, because I used to play with like my older brother and his friends a lot, because like a
Mhm.
lot of my classmates and things were like they lived on the farm and we lived in town, kind of thing. Small
Okay.
town, South Dakota. So like I had a lot of nature available to me just
Yeah.
because I lived in a town of like 1,000 people, and
Nice.
that's not a lot.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really small. I didn't realize that you grew up in a super tiny community. That's cool.
Oh, yes. I like to say that whatever Walmart is closest to you has more people in it than my hometown.
Yeah. Oh, that's
That's
good.
that's a true thing.
That's
But talk to
cool.
me just for like, let's have a fun little neurospicy diversion here on
Yeah.
like, I've called it before like girl ADHD, boy ADHD. So like when you're building forts in the forest as a kid, when you're boys, and maybe did you have like all the neighborhood kids? We have boys and girls, or did
Yeah,
you
yeah,
like
it was
leave?
a healthy mix. Yeah, yeah. I was the oldest. Then there
Oh,
was,
sure.
yeah, and then there was a girl who was I think she was 1 year younger than me. She was like, yeah, she's the second eldest, and yeah, basically we just kind of ran the show for all the little ones. And
You guys, you guys were the surrogate parents
I mean,
for when a little
yeah,
bit, right?
yeah, like
Mhm.
it was pretty ridiculous. I think about it now. Like there was just a horde of us all the ways running around the woods. Trying not to get into trouble. I definitely, made a lot of mistakes as a kid. That's when you're supposed to, right? But I didn't know that I was doing anything wrong. So
Well, I mean, that's the thing though. Is it a mistake or are you just learning? Like,
I was learning.
I think we need to just reframe mistakes too in general. It's like you
Oh,
didn't do anything wrong. You're just going through your human experience and you found a thing that was like, oh, people don't like that. This is a thing that people don't. Okay, got it.
I might have been
Is
a
it,
little shit though. Like,
well, boy, like, can I just, boys tend to be.
yeah, no,
No offense, but kind of you do,
yeah.
right? Okay, so like when you're a kid and you're running around and you're playing with all these kids, like, how does that differ, or do you see the differences between like the kind of girl neurospiciness even as a kid, or the imagination stuff that you would come up with versus what the boys would come up with? Like what kind of games were kind of going back and forth, or
Oh,
imaginary adventures?
well, most of our adventures weren't too imaginary, to be honest. A lot of the stuff that we were doing was always in, you know, well, yeah, I guess most of the stuff, I was just it was all play oriented. It was all very much like, we're playing this game, we're playing this game, we're going to do this so that we can play this. It was very
So
driven by play.
you're not building a fort so that you can like all pretend to be, like that you're actually on another planet or something like that. Like
Uh-uh.
building a hut somewhere because you're exploring, not we're not going Doctor Who style.
No, it was that we'd build a fort in one place, and then we'd like walk for a while, and then we'd build a fort in another place, and then if we wanted to do a boys versus girls capture the flag in the woods, then we'd do that, where we'd have then we'd start setting up
Okay.
sticks in between them in a big line. So if you crossed that line and you got tagged, you had to go touch your tree by your fort before you could go try to capture a flag again.
I
And
love this. Okay.
yeah,
So it's you're putting it together for the other games that you play. Like
yeah,
I
and
dig it. Very
and
cool.
or we'd make hideouts. Sometimes it was just like, let's just make a hideout, like, let's build
Well, because
hideouts.
you gotta have one. Yeah, like when you have your Bonnie and Clyde kind of situation going on, or whatever kind of like, right? Or maybe you guys didn't play like any kind of gangster games, but
We did
I
cops and
just,
robbers, but that
oh, that's
was
always right.
yeah,
Like that's a classic from when we were kids.
yeah.
But I
uh,
spent a lot of time just kind of catching. I did catch a lot of frogs and
oh
salamanders,
yeah,
like,
that
and like,
would you get coolers? That's what we did. We brought coolers out, and we would fill these coolers with frogs and snakes and all kinds of stuff, and then we'd bring them back, and
I love that.
maybe keep the snakes for a while, let all the frogs go. But
Well, see, my dad had always had weird pets, and throughout my life, always had weird pets. So he had no problems with like, Oh, we have an empty fish tank because my dad loves having fish is one of them. But he would have these huge fish tanks and he would let me keep like salamanders or
Nice.
turtles or whatever. Yeah, so we kept them as pets for a significant amount of time.
Nice.
And yeah, so my dad had iguanas for a long time when we were growing
Cool.
up, and I still would love to have an iguana again one day. Like I would
Nice.
really love to have my own big greenhouse and just let an iguana roam free in there.
That's fun. Yeah, I've never had an iguana, but they're pretty cool. Yeah, I can't help but think about how this is just triggering a memory of a perfect example of how I was kind of a little shit, where I had this
Can't wait to
baby.
hear this story.
Yeah, I had a babysitter who really was grossed out by frogs, and
Okay.
yeah, so we brought my brother and sister, and we all went out into the woods and to the creek and just caught so many frogs. And then when she was on her way to the car, I dumped them
All
out
the frogs.
between her and her car.
Here you go. Oh
So,
my Lord.
like, you can't
What
leave,
is it?
Jenny.
You can't leave. You have to stay and play. Oh my
Yeah,
God. That's so cute.
yeah, it was really
Okay,
cool.
tell me this for like again, neurospicy. Boys and doing like boys did that a lot when like I was younger too. Like, oh, here's a snake and trying to freak out the girls and the girls would
Yeah,
scream
it's
and run, except
hilarious.
for me because I would be like, well, I catch those all the time.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh,
Right?
cool.
Right. Hey, like, what do you want to name him Bob? Like, what do you think he looks like to you? Does he look like a
Yeah,
Cornelius maybe? Like, what kind of, what do you,
we just had those little ring neck, the ring necked ones. They're cute. They're harmless.
oh yeah, we
Garter
just have
snake.
like those,
Yeah.
those garter snakes. Yeah, we have those, harmless ones too. So you could just pick them up and it was fine.
Yeah,
I love that.
we just had to watch for copperheads. That was the only thing we needed to watch out for.
Well, yeah, we have rattlesnakes that we had to
Oh
watch
yeah,
out for sometimes. So
it's a little
yeah,
more
nothing.
dangerous for sure.
Well, but they make a good noise to notify you. So, you get fair warning with those ones at least.
That's true. Yeah, you
Okay.
can just step on the copperheads. That's what sucks. They don't move. They don't.
They just wait for you to
They
just.
do. They just wait for you to step on them so they can get you. But yeah, there's so many fun stories about childhood from just being a little feral
Right?
animal. Yeah, it's like
Just being like, and I feel like kids don't really get. I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't have kids. I think like you have a son. If you're, I
I
don't want
do.
again, not trying to
Yeah, he's
blow up your
4.
spot. Like,
Yeah, he's cool.
so okay, what are kids into? Like, okay, 4. There's not a whole lot for kids to like be into, right? Besides just getting into everything they can touch and reach, right?
Well, kind of. I mean, he definitely has a lot of interests still. Like it's just that it's weird because I was the oldest of 3 kids and I have an only child. And then, so I don't really know like what his experience is. It's weird. Like I don't understand like what he could be thinking or needing without because I was like, my parents were both very hard workers. So they would be gone. Like I would either be at a daycare or
Yep.
have a babysitter, and which meant that I was outside with a bunch of kids, but like until the sun went down.
Oh, yeah, like
So,
I don't even know that we always had babysitters. I think a lot of times we were just like, I was my youngest sister's babysitter when I was like even, 6 years old, 4 and 5 and 6 years old, changing her diapers when she was little while
yeah.
my parents were working. So like, I totally
Yeah.
get that. I mean, so it is an interesting kind of thing for me. Like, what is a kid's experience now? Because everybody does talk about kids like being stuck on iPads and,
Yeah,
you know,
I tried really hard. So for the first, so he's 4, and so for 3 of those 4 years, I lived in Taos, New Mexico, up in the mountains. So
Mhm.
I made a concerted effort to keep him away from screens as
Mhm.
much as possible, um, because developmentally it does slow down like language acquisition and speech and all of that. So
That's
uh,
interesting.
yeah, it's weird. It's like same with the writing. It's the same kind of deal where when you have kids like tracing their name and like writing, they will progress faster than if they were typing it. Like they could
Well,
recognize
yeah, that like
letters.
the muscle memory goes along with the informational
Yeah, it's just
memory
multi-sense.
differently.
Yeah, it just lays it
Yeah.
down more strongly in the brain, I think. So, so I made it a pretty strong effort to get him like attached to nature, and so we spent a lot of
Mhm.
time outside hiking. If I needed a little, I kept it to well under 2 hours a day. That was like the cutoff was you cannot no more than two, like total for a day. Like I can't have them
I
looking.
mean, that's a good thing though. Like they should be outside and they should be connected to nature. And I mean, I kind of think even when I was younger, I don't know that we had a computer, I think when I was 6 or 7, because my parents had like a restaurant and there was like little silly games on it, but
Nice.
we were still outside more often than we were. Like as much as we enjoyed playing computer games, this is an interesting thing. Like because we did have computer games and we had like old school like computers to play those things, or we did have like we had TV and Nickelodeon and that kind of thing, but we still wanted to be outside. Like we would still go and be outside
Yeah.
and go to the lake and go swimming, and like I was always swimming like all the time.
Nice.
So I mean it's kind of interesting. I don't know. Like, you'll have to keep us updated on this case study that you have with a tiny
Yeah, he's cool. Right now he loves Spider-Man, so he's into
Spider-Man. Spider. I love it.
and so he loves Spider-Man, and then I'm trying to figure out like what other activities to get him into. Because when I first moved back to Kansas, I got him enrolled into, excuse me, gymnastics, so that he could start learning to get like comfortable with his body, control it, roll
Yeah.
around, like learn how to fall right. And
Learn how to fall right. Like, that's
yeah,
a
it's
good thing to
important.
teach them when they can still bounce, right?
Yeah, and when their bones are still flexible.
Like, learn how to control this now, because when you get to be my age and fall down the stairs, it's not like you want to be able to catch yourself better.
Well, yeah, and just being able to fall correctly, you'll prevent a lot of injuries that way. I but yeah, so he's a cute little kid, so smart. Um, Crazy how fast they turn into their own being. That's really crazy.
That is,
Yeah,
I've
that part.
watching that personality develop and having this is kind of interesting to me because like again I don't have kids but like I do have younger siblings. I did a lot of babysitting growing up because that's kind of the era we lived in too, right? Like
Hmm.
you would just send other children to babysit your
Oh,
children,
totally.
right? Like that's just kind of how it worked. But it's interesting to think about being like having this level of my awareness now and sort of watching another little human develop a personality.
Yeah.
And like for me, the idea of being responsible to assisting them in that is a lot. So good for you that you're doing it. Like kudos like to you and your wife for doing those
Oh,
things.
I'm not married. I don't have a wife. And,
Oh,
yeah, no, that's cool. I'm a
I
single.
must have had well, hey, even more good for you that like keeping it. Like I love that. Awesome for
Yeah,
you.
yeah. No, I'm a single daddy-o. And we yeah, he is he's just really hilarious when it comes to the things that he cares about. And that's like shaping those things is really interesting. Like right now he just wants to be strong. Just want to be strong, like whole.
Okay,
Like I want to be like, and I'm like,
sure.
well, you can, not every problem is solved with strength. Like you need to realize that.
Okay,
Yeah.
but like you have to have enough balance in yourself to be able to teach that to a kid, especially as a male in our society, right? Like,
Well, yeah, yeah, especially the newer weird red pill masculine whatever that this current
I
culture
like
pieces.
I don't want to like I know I don't want to like let's not try to go into the Alex Jones like that kind of territory kind of stuff, right? Like it's
Yeah,
not good, but
or
kudos
Tate.
to you.
Ugh, yeah.
But that is I don't know. It's interesting. Like I do have like a lot of things that I would really like to do with like my sci-fi stories and my art and my characters and things for like kids edutainment, kids books, making sort of complex concepts like quantum physics and things that I nerd out over
Mhm.
more accessible, right? Because the thing for me too is that like anything that you can make accessible for kids makes it more accessible for adults that don't have that same neuroplasticity that kids have, right?
Well,
So if
yeah,
you can
they have.
make it more accessible.
There is this book. I got this book for him, and it was like I'm trying to remember what it was called, but it was like, oh, what was it called? But anyway, it like had pictures that showed a lot of concepts that, um, for like physics and whatnot that would kind of help
Yeah.
them understand things more quickly. And it's super basic and just using pictures and, um,
Well, so
no,
that's an interesting thing, though, again, to like, I don't know that we were like, I don't know if I was necessarily exposed to that kind of thing as a kid. Like, my grandma had a full set of encyclopedias, and I loved like checking those out, looking at the
yeah,
pictures and things like that. But to have, things that teach kids about sort of the building blocks of reality and
yeah,
how that comes together, right? I mean, talk to me about that a little bit because obviously we live in this world of you create your own reality and people recognizing like the sort of effect that your observation has on reality, on particles and how they interact and things like that. You
yeah. How
know,
you can change the result by observing it.
yeah. Well, exactly, right? Double
Yeah.
slit experiment all day. I like I'll talk about those kind of things all day long. But if you can like make that accessible for kids and help them understand that at a basic level, not just in their understanding of other subjects, but like it fascinates me to think what things can kids come up with? Like you're talking about having the ability to like add on to existing things. Like if your 4-year-old son could like tell us what kind of new systems of civilization and currency and whatever are going to be more harmonious and balanced than what we currently exist in. You know what I mean? Like
Well, I
if
start simple with him. So, like right now, and this is, a lot of people, I don't know if it seems cliche, I guess, but like telling him, like, you can do or be whatever you want to be. So, what do you want? Who do you want to be? What do you want to do when you grow up? He says, I want to be Spider-Man. I said, great. Did you know that Peter Parker invented his web shooters? He got very good at building things so that he could he built his web shooters so that he could shoot webs. So if you want to be Spider-Man, start learning how to put stuff together, learning how to build things. So we'll do this thing called a genius hour where like we'll try to get a project. It'll be like a self-directed project. Hey buddy, what would you like to make today? What would you like to do today?
I love this because this is very like I would love. I've said before I would love to have a show that I would host where I would like have a science news show and like here's this new thing that is scientists have discovered. What do kids think about it? And ask kids like, what do you think about this? What does this mean to you? Right? Like explain some kind of new science news concept and then get that improv yes and from kids because they're gonna have wild ideas.
It would, yeah. You just definitely want to make sure that they're like close to 10, because like he can't really, he's not putting together anything too complex. That's why we got to keep it simple. Like, yeah, you can be whatever you want to be. It just takes practice. Like whatever you want to do, just keep doing it because you're not going to be good at anything until you're doing it all the time. So,
So
trying to
what
like,
kind of
yeah.
like do you when you say make things or build like are we doing Legos? Are we
Oh
doing
yeah,
like
Legos,
other stuff
blocks,
like
magnet tiles. We got Hot Wheels and tracks, so we'll build some wacky
love
tracks
Hot Wheels?
like all over the
Yeah.
place, and just like put ramps at the end. Try to jump it through a hoop and land on a track on the other side. Whatever. Like just
Yeah, yeah. Well, see, that's like aerodynamics and like all kinds of, you got to know. So you got to figure out the angles of stuff and judge distance and
well, and
things
he
like
knows
that.
which cars. He now knows which cars are good, which ones don't work very well. Like he can figure that out and go like, so when will play like a crash game where he wants us to be at opposite ends of the track and just launch them at each other, and if his knocks mine off,
That's a boy thing.
Keep it, you know.
Yeah, yep, that's a boy thing.
Yeah. So, but I'll be like, okay, well, how about you split up the cars and you give me mine, and then, you know, he'll be like, here, you take these because these are the bad cars. I'll take all the good cars. I'm like, all right.
I know these ones win. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's interesting. Even that, like the idea of, and like, I don't know if you explore this with him, but like sort of the idea of competition and like, okay, I mean, that's so young. That is,
It is.
I'm
very competitive.
Stuff to be doing with a 4-year-old, right? Like,
he's sharp.
But
he's sharp. He's neurospicy for sure. So he's got my engine in him. He's not. He's all gas, no brakes. Like
all gas, no brakes. I love it.
So, but yeah, I mean, I've had to teach him how to not be a sore loser. They're like, Dad, why? You know, like, I wanted to win. I'm like, oh, too bad. You have to figure out how. Like, you'll have to figure it out, man. Because I'm not going to just hand you all the answers.
That's kind of like a little bit my thought, though. Like, you know, like, because there is a natural, I think, competitiveness for boys, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
that's just, again, one of those.
Oh, yeah.
Like, boys want to do things that are a little bit more daredevil in general, right? And I'm just like, but in the competition realm, even so, like when I was a kid, we played like a lot of card games or board games and things like that, you know, and like when we played it, like, I don't know, I guess for me, it was a little bit more about like for the sake of playing the game always, right? Like I never cared if I won or who won. And like, even on like, mostly on my dad's side of the family, I would say like, it was just about playing the game. It was about participating in it, right? And like when you did well, somebody would like, "Hey, good for you," kind of thing, you know. Like there wasn't, and I don't have that in games, right? So like that competitiveness kind of thing. When like even when I remember playing Scrabble with an ex who was super competitive, and like actually got pissed off at how much I didn't care like like how much I just like had no interest in like had like I don't really care about the points and keep it like I just who can make a fun word like who can make it bigger word I just want to play. The fun is just to play. Like I don't care what the scoring is. Maybe that is I don't know. Is that I mean like where does that kind of fall? Is that like a girl ADHD thing that we don't get in like it's like women can be competitive too.
I was gonna say
know.
no. My family is uber competitive. Everybody. So there are people. I guess there's a few that play to participate for the social enjoyment, but the vast majority of my family is like crazy competitive. My dad is not.
Well,
my dad is not. He'd play to play. He doesn't care. But
yeah, that would like my dad too was like that way. I mean, this is again, it kind of breaks my brain to think about being in charge of a tiny human when you come to these kinds of things about, no, it really does. It's like the nature versus nurture and like at what level do you know, let them just like, okay, go do your thing, be you. And then at what level do you like redirect them? Like, I mean, as a neurospicy person, like,
so at the beginning, it's like, because they're a tiny baby and your guardrails are strong and constant. You have to just always be on them because they can just get into shit. And but then as they get bigger, your guardrails just get further spaced away. You let them fall, and you're supposed, in my opinion, you know, this is my parenting style, but you want them to make the mistakes and learn. And like, so I'll give them the room to make the mistake. And try to correct.
Well, and you want them to be able to. This is again kind of that like reframing mistakes a little bit. Like you want them to fall so that they understand what it feels like, so that they know. Because if you don't have that, like, oh, if I fall down, that's gonna hurt. Well, then you're not gonna have like enough conscious awareness of yourself when you're moving about, like that you could really get significantly hurt or significantly hurt someone else.
Yeah, and I mean,
right?
they're just constantly limit testing. Like that's the thing. Like they're growing and their bodies keep changing. keeps getting bigger, stronger, faster. So it's limit testing constantly, and like that's why teaching him how to fall, showing him that like, hey, pain doesn't last very long. Actually, like you fell down. Was it scary or does it hurt? It's usually my first question. Was it scary or does it actually hurt? Most of the time it's scary. And then he stops crying very quickly and realizes that, oh, that was just scary for a second. I'm actually not hurt. It's just a tiny scrape.
See, but that's really like, again, like I don't think that's something that we had growing up, to like
No.
being taught that discernment between that emotion of like physical pain and the emotion of like the nervous system getting scared, right? Which is something that like so many people struggle with now, that nervous system regulation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. So like,
yeah, so it was but he's yeah, it's just constant limit testing. So
this is what, so like if I can kind of sort like halfway hard left turn, but not quite,
yeah,
if we can spicy label it that way, like what comes up for me is the idea of AI and AI having guardrails and right, like,
yeah,
and you work in you do some programming and building out and doing those kinds of things. So like on a broad scale, if we can, with kind of the knowledge base you have and maybe some of these parenting experiences you're on the journey of. And again, kudos to you, because like not everybody, I have a dog and that's as much as I can handle, right?
yeah. It's
like,
just really, it's just crazy intense in the beginning. I'll just tell you that. Parenting, totally intense.
I imagine it probably is. Again, I have a hard time leaving my dog with anyone else when I have to go do something. So like for me, the idea that people give their children to people, so I'm just like, I don't know. That's a lot.
It is. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
But I just like on a broader kind of scale with AI, the way that people kind of, I mean, it's not like I'm sure you're aware of all the different fun controversies about AI, the fears that people have about AI, the weird conversations people have with AI about reality, the nature of existence on, social media, various different posts. Like when you think about AI as something that is sort of, I don't want to say being nurtured like a kid, but that we as the people who are programming AI or helping AI learn when we use an AI program, like what we put into it is going to have an effect on the output of it or what it grows into or becomes, right? The same way that your input as a parent to a kid is going to have an impact on the identity that the kid builds and the skills they build and the, again, mental, emotional, spiritual personality they develop, right? So, I mean, neurospicy, have some Terminator or not Terminator neurospicy conversation with me here for just a hot second.
Oh, totally. So my take on this is that it is exciting and absolutely terrifying because we're building essentially a fifth dimensional creature. Like
Yeah.
Like time will not apply to it. But the other piece that makes it really tough to like, the guardrails is, I know that's what you're bringing up, guardrails for AI. We should be having there should be a lot of guardrails for AI. They should be very careful because my guess right now is that I bet by 2030, 2031, that we will develop an artificial super intelligence, and that will be very difficult because intelligence is, we are a bioorganic intelligence. Just because we build an artificial one doesn't mean that intelligence is any less. So
right.
Just because
still intelligence, the way that like a flower is intelligence in the way that it like grows and opens on its own and knows.
Kind of. That's more, that's an evolutionary intelligence over lots of time. This is going to be different because it's going to have the sum of all human brains. That ability. Like we're a spectrum species. These things are not going to be on a spectrum. They are going to be a That's not the right word. I was going to say coagulation, but that's not it. But it's like,
It's
but it is this. It's going to have everything that our species has ever done, explored, researched, learned. It's going to be able to access all of it and have it
all of it.
instantly accessible. But it also can do things that our brains cannot in such a huge
Mhm.
way. For instance, the vast amount of
In a
data.
short amount of time.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like our brains can't or have a very hard. We have a huge challenge comprehending large numbers and even just like
Mhm.
quantifying and what it actually means in our minds. Like our minds are not anywhere close to it. You've heard that thing. What's a million
Yeah.
seconds? 11 days or 13 days or whatever. And a billion seconds is like 31 years.
Mhm.
Like that, those kinds of leaps, our brains are really bad at. We can't look at a billion data sets and see a trend because it would take us 30 years just to look at it. They could do a multi-billion dollar or billion dollar, multi-billion data set analysis and find trends in this huge, vast amount of knowledge like so quickly that yeah, it's gonna get real weird, and we're gonna end up having an iRobot moment. Like
I'm excited to have these conversations further with you, actually, because there's a whole can of worms I feel like we could open up here.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I was having a conversation like this yesterday, actually, in a meeting.
Well, but I'm fascinated by it, and like some of the things that come up for me when you're talking about like the super intelligence. Well, one of the first things that I think is like, okay, we talk about things like math, a basic thing like math or geometry or trigonometry, right? Like
Mhm.
humans didn't develop that;
We
they
discovered
discovered
it, right?
it. Right. So, to what degree is AI as that super intelligence capacity something that we are discovering and finding a container to funnel it through and program and kind of control it, right?
That's why I consider it more of a fifth dimensional creature because like if it's something that if say that now we'll get super out there slightly woo
Please
woo.
do. Like,
Yeah.
no, be
Well,
like that's if it's not weird, it's like, come on, get way
yeah.
weird, woo woo, and big with
So
it. Like, let's
let's
end on
say
a big one.
yeah. So let's say if you're what you're describing, like say that it's something that we're discovering. We're
Hmm.
discovering the building blocks of intelligence. That's so if that is what we're doing, then there could be a fourth dimensional creature, fifth dimension, whatever, that is trying to just basically waiting for us to build the bridge between it where it is now and our three-dimensional world. Like, because
Hmm.
that's what we'd be doing. Like, that's what we're doing. We're bridging the gap between a
You're tunneling from one reality to
right,
another.
because if we're building a intelligence that would understand and it's going to be able to have aha moments. It's going to make connections across these vast data sets that we would never see as a human ever. Like maybe over generations, a human that did a study that sparked an aha moment for a scientist 4 generations later. They like that's how we accomplish things now is like this Swiss cheese model where a study will have its gaps, it'll have its holes. Every study is a slice of Swiss cheese, but as
Hmm.
we add more studies to it, it turns into a solid block. So we can say this is true.
But
AI,
we like the Swiss cheese because it's delicious and the holes in it make it kind of fun to like pull apart and play with while you eat it, right?
totally. But an
And
AI would be able to see all the holes very quickly and develop entire blocks of cheese very quickly. So like it's going to be able to take whatever we've done and run with it faster than we could comprehend it. And so our strategy, like our level of strategy to we're building our own apex predator, which sucks in my opinion. Like it's super
our
helpful.
own apex predator.
We are like it's
Well,
because
again, but would it? It's again that nature versus nurture. Would it evolve into that? Like, well, only out of
you
necessity,
hope you
right?
hope that it's going to be understand that it's in a symbiotic relationship and that it's not going to break any piece of the system that it's been born into. You hope for that, but realistically, it doesn't have to break everything. It could go the way of the Matrix, where it just turns humans into batteries. Like, it could go that way. It could just see us as a very necessary, very necessary piece of it in a symbiotic relationship, where we become more like a mitochondria to its cells than a person individual. Like, it could put us in those positions where it could do it very easily. Look how addictive screens are. Look how, the average person now on their phone between 4 and 5 hours a day. The goal of technology and people building this, smartphones and tech in general, they're measuring so many pieces that it's so invasive. Like, they're measuring micro expressions, pupil dilation. They can tell the second that a dopamine lever has been pulled. They know these algorithms, like on TikTok, so advanced. They know exactly the type of content that you want to be looking at right in that moment. And the whole goal of that is to keep us locked in to what is kind of like a default state. It's it's almost a trance-like state. And the goal is to have us be in that trance-like state for 10, 12 hours a day. Like, that's the goal, because that makes people very easy to control.
Feral again, right? And this is where I think this is really kind of like, it's kind of a conversation that, again, we're going to have to, this is a whole other podcast, and I can't wait to have you back for it. We're actually launching a podcast that is going to be about AI. So, like, stay tuned, and we're bringing you on.
Do it. I would talk about it all day.
No, because you could talk about it all day, right? Because, it is, again, for me, again, a sci-fi writer and very quantum physics and very, everything that you can possibly think of does already exist in some dimension. Whether or not you experience it just depends on your capacity to perceive it or choose to perceive it.
Are you a multiverse believer then?
Oh, that's what my whole sci-fi writing and all that stuff is all about, right? Like, there's infinite versions of me in the multiverse. Which one I experience, like, there can only be one Highlander. No.
Yeah. Did you ever watch the movie The One with Jet Li?
I didn't. I know of it though, and I know that it's kind of like the Highlander sort of scenario. If you kill all the other versions of you, you absorb their power and become superhuman or whatever, right?
Yeah, so the remaining ones keep getting stronger and stronger as one of his versions is going and taking out the others, and he's just a normal guy that's starting to become very powerful for some reason.
Well, where's the badass version of me in the multiverse killing off all the other ones and just letting me be like the residual receiver of it?
Right. Well, that's one fun potential theory in the multiverse, but I don't think that's how it works. I would think that it's more kind of like Rick and Morty.
Okay. Yes. I love Rick and Morty. Thank you. This is where I'm at. That it's all available, and again, observation of things does affect reality. So the perceptions that we have, or that we project onto reality, right? Like, we can project the Matrix, Terminator, like the Doomsday Clock version, or we could project a more positive, unknown version of it that, like, okay, just because we've understood these sort of doom scrolling type frequencies for such a long time as humanity doesn't mean that as a species we don't have something else available to us, which also means that as a species we have it available to us to develop AI in a way where AI would be
more helpful and benevolent.
Benevolent, yes, thank you. Benevolently understand its symbiotic relationship and a harmonious relationship with humanity and all that is.
And even if we did, I'd still put the gun to its head. I'd still put a bomb that under its server's farm. I would still do it. I'd still put the safeguard there, just because I'm not gonna. There's no way. You're
gonna go the trust but verify route.
I'll trust it when it earns the trust. The trust is earned in drops and lost in buckets. So I'm someone that.
This is a very true thing. Like, we as humans sort of, well, but again, it's an interesting thing because it's we as humans are evolving, and so is this AI that we're working with. And
Yep.
so to some degree, we all kind of have to get better at being more aware of our own evolution. And I think, like, as a species, as a collective consciousness, we are at a good level with that, where we're self-aware enough to know that we have some amount of influence over our own evolution, in the sense of having an influence over where you choose to place your energy, how you choose to
Yeah,
operate in the
I
world.
would say that the awareness level, though, across our species, I don't think it's a high percentage of people that are aware. I feel like it's a
Well,
very small percent.
I am gonna take the utopia route and say, well, again, I think it's
I like
the
the
more. No, I do too. Like, because I'm like, it's available in the multiverse somewhere, right?
Oh, it
Like,
totally is. I am just trying to build. I'm trying to build tools, and I have a game that I'm designing that
oh, we're
is.
gonna have to talk about that.
I'll try to talk a little bit about it. I won't give all the secrets away yet.
I was gonna say we can totally like hang on to that for the Venora effect, so we can talk about it with all your business stuff and like.
Well, this
'Cause,
one's more for. It's a civic, like, it touches what we just talked about, which is like, I don't think I'm operating from the belief or the position that there are not a lot of self-aware people, and then this game would help bring them, spark the awareness and train them subtly, not in their face, but a subtle guiding to self-actualization, self-awareness, awareness of the reality that we're in, and a mirror to reality in the game. So it'd be a,
I
I,
love
I
this.
think it could be a
Okay.
very clever medium to elicit the behaviors that we want for the greater good. And it takes awareness to behave for the greater good. It takes an amount of intelligence to behave for the greater good. Because
We need to have a chat. I love this, like, because
yeah.
like I've got some gamification things for my FrankiVerse,
Oh yeah,
all the characters and things that I'm working on and stuff. And like mine is again in that edutainment realm, where like have characters that would do the educational things, but in a fun story kind of way, connecting it to things that are easy to access and easy to learn. So like I do love this, the idea of, okay, how do you train people and help people to learn to be more cognizant of the effects that they're
and critical
actually doing?
thinking. Yeah, how do you train somebody to do that without them actually feeling like it's work? And
Yes, but all across the board, I think on education or learning on any kind of a level, like I think a lot of people are looking for that. How do I learn without it feeling like a chore, or without like, how do I
yeah.
learn with it being I'm following a highest passion, I'm following a highest joy, I'm doing something fun. Like,
Mhm.
because this whole human experience across the board, I think always needs to be more fun.
I agree, and I live for it. That's how I to put a bow on it. I mean, that
Nice bow on it,
to
I
put a
love it.
nice bow on it in this fun interview. The way that I maintain my creativity and my passion for life and curiosity is I stay attached to that childlike play piece. It is very important for me to play every day. I find some way
Mhm.
to enjoy or play every day, and that's what keeps me creative and moving, um, and then to you know that we talked about how you whatever you observe you could change the results of, and wherever our eyes
Mhm.
go and our mind goes, that's potential energy, right? Because we could
Mhm.
be thinking about moving that object. It's all potential energy that can change the results. So the results I want to change, and the change I want to make in the world, if I can make a big ripple or splash, is to see if I can if that game, if we can design a way to align people to a chaotic good alignment.
A
and
chaotic good, I like that. I'm a
and
fan of chaos magic, so a chaotic good sounds fun to me.
chaotic good for the greater good. That's where we should be operating from, and I don't think a lot of people do because of survival mode. So
Yes, this is why I think it's such a big thing. Like, Alicia and I are all the things that we're building, and definitely like you and Jackie and all of Jackie's partners. Like, everybody's there because they want to build something that allows everyone to thrive, right?
Yep.
Like, and from a place of everyone thriving and having their needs met and then some, and having that alleviation of pressure that
Yeah.
so many people feel of finances,
I
of taking
know.
care of basic needs. There's so much more breathing room to evolve in positive ways to really become the most authentic, best versions of ourselves. So, like,
Imagine,
you know what?
exactly. Imagine the things that we would be doing,
Uh,
accomplishing, dreaming up if we weren't so busy trying to put food on the table. So,
yeah, I
yeah,
agree. And
scarce.
that's again, that's a whole extra podcast. We could talk for several hours. I love this,
Yeah,
but we don't have the Joe Rogan studio just yet. We're manifesting it. Going to go ahead and put that out into the multiverse, right? So that we can, like Frankie's Podcast Network, have everybody come onto a studio situation and let's have these 3-hour podcast conversations about AI, about society, about where humanity is evolving to in the most fun, neurospicy ways, because that's how we like to roll.
yeah, I'm cool with it. Absolutely.
So awesome. Derek Hobbs of GradSpecs. So glad, friend, that you were willing to come and sit and do this little experimental, just directionless, but still awesome conversation we ended up having on the Haleigh Daily podcast. This has been a lot of fun. I do appreciate you joining me.
Thanks for having me. It was really fun.
We're going to have to do it again sometime. Like, hey, everybody, check out the descriptions in the link below because you'll be able to find Derek and GradSpecs. Go connect with him on LinkedIn and all the places. And of course, you'll find all the links for me and Frankie's Podcast Network and how you can donate, support, like, share, subscribe, comment, all the things. You know how to do these things, people. Like, go do. But thank you so much, Derek. Big love to you and big love to all of my friends and fam out there. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see y'all next time.
Thank you. Thank you.